Chapter. I'm excited to be here with all of you this evening and share in the process of renaming our middle school. The purpose for tonight's meeting is really to share the names that have already been submitted, take any new name nominations from the floor, and really to share and review the next steps in the process. I have with me tonight Principal Mrs. Blessing and our Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Mosier. And at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Blessing for a few words and then Mr. Mosier.
Thank you, Mrs. Lighthoff. Good evening. I am Miss Blessing, your school principal. Several members of our administrative team are also out there joining us this evening, including Mrs. Bennett, Ms. Donovan, and Mr. McCann. Most especially, I want to thank all of our students, families, teachers, staff, and our community members who have joined us for the meeting tonight. We appreciate you joining us for this opportunity to move forward on the voting of the name selection for our school. The school building that resides at 7922 Outing Avenue has just shy of 900 scholars, amazing students who for us as educators are our why. There is no hesitation or wavering on the passion and purpose with which we come to work, and every team member comes to work every day. We are here because of the young lives we have a chance to impact, whether they are presently sitting in our classrooms with us or engaging with us virtually. Our scholars, our students are our why. The name on the building does not change our commitment to our mission and vision to our school community. The renaming of our school offers us an opportunity to focus on making a difference in our present work for all members of our school community. The time is here to shift the focus from the past to the present and onward to the future. Our focus remains on providing our students with the very best teachers who will encourage, care for, and continue to motivate our scholars to be the very best that they can become in all aspects of their lives. Our mission is to cultivate a community of scholars who are empowered to think critically, embrace diversity, and contribute to the world beyond our doors. This is the time to celebrate our diversity, to enhance our focus on equitable access to both teaching and learning, and to create a more inclusive culture focused on what should matter most to all of us, kindness. The process on voting on the name of our school is our chance to show unity, to come together as our school community, one community, and forge an identity that encompasses every student, family, staff member, and community partner who plays a part in our school's success. Please take this opportunity to rename our school as one that reflects our mission and vision of our school, and know that it will have a lasting impact for many generations to come. Thank you again for joining us this evening. At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Mosier, who will provide us with directions and next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Blessing. I appreciate it. And thank you, Mrs. Lighthoff, for kicking us off. Welcome to everyone who's watching and listening this evening. What we hope to do tonight is go over the process that will be used, and then we will share all of the names for anyone who hasn't yet seen or heard them, and then we will take suggestions from folks who have signed up. So if you'll allow me to share my screen here for just 1 second. So let me get there. So the process that we're using tonight begins with board policy EG and the administrative regulation that goes along with it. You see the key parts of it there. It was adopted in 1965 and last revised in 1989, so it does not reflect the electronic age in which we live. You will all see that. It does call for the principal to publicize the time of a meeting. This is that meeting, called for the purpose of selecting the name of the school to be forwarded to the Board of Education. So that is what we are doing this evening. We will take a collection of names by those who have chosen to do that. You will see in the regulation that it says the names will be presented to those in attendance who will make a selection by ballot. The limitations that we have on the number of attendees in a meeting like this, in this format, call for us to do something a little different. So we will be doing something different. And that different is this. The voting process will open at 9 a.m. on Monday morning and close at 5 p.m. on Friday, April 23rd. Voting will be open to all George Fox Middle School staff members and families of all students enrolled in schools in the Northeast cluster. There will be one vote per student ID number. You will need that student ID number to access the ballot, and one vote per employee ID number. I want to stress that we want this to be a family process. We very much want this to be families discussing names and interacting in that process and submitting their choice together. So if no submission receives 50% of the votes cast, we will trim the list to the top 10 vote getters or all of the submissions receiving votes, whichever is fewer, and we'll conduct a second vote. And of that second vote, the submission with the highest percentage of votes will be forwarded to the board for its consideration. Ultimately, the Board of Education selects the name for the school. So at this time, I'm going to read through the names that were submitted. There are 104 of them. You may ask why I'm reading this. I want to read this just so that anyone who either has trouble seeing the screen or is not in a place where they can see a screen and are listening to the audio can be aware of these. So here we go. Amanda Smith Middle School, Anne Arundel County Public Middle School, Audra Lord Middle School, Benjamin Banneker Middle School, Billie Holiday Middle School, Booker T. Washington Middle School, Anne Catherine Green Middle School, Brookmont Middle School, Charity Folks Middle School, Chesterfield Middle School, Krista McAuliffe Middle School, Colonel William Price Craighill Middle School, Cora Spencer Carter Middle School, Cunningham Middle School, Dina Middle School, Dr. Lily Mae Carroll Jackson Middle School, Dirk Middle School, Eagle Grove Middle School, Eastern Middle School, Edwin E. Rayner Middle School, Eli Cove Middle School, Fox Den Middle School, Fox Meadow Middle School, Fox Middle School, Fox Two Rivers Middle School, Fox Woods Middle School, Francis Harper Middle School, Garrett A. Morgan Middle School, Georgetown Middle School, God's Country Middle School, Governor William Donald Schaefer Middle School, Grace Hopper Middle School, Green Haven Middle School, Greenberry Johnson Middle School, Greenberg Gray Middle School, Gray Fox Middle School, Harriet Elizabeth Brown Middle School, Harriet Tubman Middle School, Harry Lentz Middle School, Havenwood Middle School, Jane Dorsey Matthews Middle School, John F. Kennedy Middle School, Catherine Johnson Middle School, Lawrence E. Knight Middle School, Liberty Middle School, Lone Oak Middle School, Madam C.J. Walker Middle School, Magathie Middle School, Malcolm X Middle School, Marita Carroll Middle School, Marjorie Holt Middle School, Marsh Zimmerman Middle School, Martin Luther King Middle School, Mary F. Farrell Middle School, Matthews Carter Middle School, Matthew Morrow Middle School, Moberg Middle School, Mordecai Gist Middle School, Mother Teresa Middle School, Mountain Middle School, Mountain Ridge Middle School, Mountain Road Middle School, Muhammad Ali Middle School, Northeast Middle School, Outing Avenue Community Middle School, Outing Avenue Middle School, Outing Middle School, P City Middle School, Pasadena Cove Middle School, Pasadena Creeks Middle School, Pasadena Middle School, Pasadena Peninsula Middle School, Patapsco Middle School, Patriot Middle School, Peace Middle School, Peninsula Middle School, Piscataway Middle School, Red Fox Middle School, named after the animal, Red Fox Middle School, named after the actor, Redmond Middle School, Riviera Beach Middle School, Robert Robinson Middle School, Rock Creek Middle School, Ronald Reagan Middle School, Rosa Parks Middle School, Sarah V. Jones Middle School, Spring Tides Middle School, Stony Rock Creek Middle School, Stony Creek Middle School, Sunset Middle School, The Middle School, The People's Middle School, Thurgood Marshall Middle School, Twin Rivers Middle School, Two Rivers Middle School, Unity Middle School, Verta Mae Freeman Middle School, Verta Welcome Middle School, Virginia Bass Middle School, Virginia Hall Middle School, Watkins Harper Middle School, Wells Barnett Middle School, William Parker Middle School, and Woodlands Middle School. So those are the names that were shared with us through the initial process. And I am now going to transition and call on those who have logged in to suggest new names and additional names. And I would ask that you simply provide this submission without any amplification, as we did not amplify on anyone's reasons for submitting the ones that I just read. So I will start with Lena Barber. Ms. Barber, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm sorry, but the name I chose is already on there.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you very much. And next, Tim Brady. Mr. Brady, can you hear us? Mr. Brady? I can see him, but he is mute. Mr. Brady, you are muted if you're trying to speak.
It won't let me unmute, but I don't have a name.
I can hear you now.
Oh, I don't have a name to submit. I'm not sure.
Okay.
What
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
And I have no one else who has logged in. We did have 4 people who indicated they wish to offer suggestions, but no one else who has logged in. So at this time, I will turn it back over to Ms. Blessing to conclude our meeting. Ms. Blessing?
Thank you, Mr. Mosher. And thank you to each of you who have been in attendance this evening. We look forward to this intentional transformation of our school and the selection of a new name. As I said earlier, the selection of this new name will be an opportunity to continue to enhance our focus on equity, a more inclusive school climate, and especially kindness. This new name will mean a new legacy for the students and staff of our school and new memories to be created during the middle school years. Thank you to each of you for being part of this process. Have a good evening.